And welcome back to Consumer Update. Many consumers have hit the wall when it comes to their finances. Overspending has finally caught up with them. Well, if you're trapped in the never-ending battle against high interest rates on credit cards, it may seem like there's no way out. Not necessarily true. Joining me today to help navigate their way out of financial difficulties from the law firm of Reisman and Blanchard is attorney Marshall Reisman. Thank you so much for coming today, because I think this topic is really important to talk about. And we're talking about bankruptcy. So can you just kind of walk us through quickly the different types of bankruptcy?
Okay, Kelly, and thank you for having me here.
My pleasure.
For a consumer, there are basically two types of bankruptcies.
Okay.
There's a straight bankruptcy, which is under Chapter 7 of the Bankruptcy Code, which basically wipes out consumer debt with some exceptions.
Okay.
Then there's Chapter 13, which is a repayment plan, which is for people with regular income that for one reason or another do not qualify for Chapter 7, or Chapter 7 is not in their best interest. There are specific reasons for filing a Chapter 13 as opposed to a Chapter 7, which we may not have enough time to go into all the details. But generally, if there's too much income, if someone needs to cure the arrearages on a home mortgage, or, and most significantly these days, there are some instances when a second mortgage can be wiped out in a Chapter 13. So those are very important benefits for consumers.
And already you're getting a little technical, so I guess the next question is, why would somebody need an attorney? Because it seems like the bankruptcy laws can really be a little intimidating if you don't know what you're doing.
Well, the example I give to people that come into my office is that if I have a toothache, I'm not going to go to the bathroom and pull my own teeth. It does require some expert help. Now, some bankruptcies are very simple, and sometimes people can do them themselves, what they call a pro se bankruptcy, or work with a paralegal, but those are the exceptions. Those are very exceptional, and quite often I've had a number of occasions over the years to clean up some messes when people have tried to do it by themselves, tried to save the money on legal help, and have hit the wall, so to speak, as a term you just used earlier. So I would suggest at least get a consultation with an experienced bankruptcy attorney before making that decision.
And the other thing I want to point out, because the viewers know I'm also an attorney. You didn't know that. Surprise.
Yeah, I didn't.
But the laws are constantly changing. So even going to an attorney, like if somebody came to me, I would not be prepared to go into that realm because it's constantly evolving, and you really need to know. And I just wanted to point that out because you need somebody that specializes in this, not just a general practice attorney.
Well, I would suggest, whether it's our firm or any other firm, that someone seek counsel of someone with some experience, or someone who is working under someone with some substantial experience. Someone's life and their prosperity, their family's livelihood, their survival is no place for on-the-job training. I wouldn't want someone to operate on me if that was their first operation. So I would like
Good point.
So that's sort of where we're coming from. I don't want to toot our own horns too loudly. There are a lot of fine lawyers out there and a lot of fine lawyers.
But you do this every day.
Yes.
So I'm going to toot the horn because you do this every day, and I know how important that is. And a lot of consumers that are at home don't really realize that there is a line that's drawn, that somebody is an expert because they are doing it every day. And then there's somebody that, yeah, could I do it? Maybe, but I can guarantee I wouldn't do it as well as you do it. So I just tooted your horn for you.
The compliment.
But let's go into some things like, credit card debt. What can you do there? Like I come to you and, so many people just get totally overwhelmed.
Well, as far as straight credit card debt is concerned, usually if that's the primary reason why someone is seeking legal help and considering bankruptcy, usually a Chapter 7 is the most appropriate way to approach that if they qualify for a Chapter 7. You mentioned changes in the law. There was a big change in the law back in 2005 which put an income limit on the qualification for filing Chapter 7. So in other words, if a family, a household makes more money, has more income than the median income for a household that size in the state in which they live, they may have to file a Chapter 13, which means they have to repay part of their debt on a sliding scale based on the disposable income. The calculation is complicated. That's where the experience comes in. But But basically, credit card debt can be wiped out in Chapter 7, or if a Chapter 7 is not possible, a fraction of the credit card debt can be repaid through a Chapter 13.
Now, there are other options as well. What are some of those other options? Like, say I'm facing foreclosure. I mean, what can you do for me?
What can I do for you? Well, foreclosure is a very hot area. The loan modification area is very controversial, to say the least. We hear a lot of things on the news about how few people are actually getting approved for loan modifications, despite all the pundits, the bankers and the politicians that get on the air and say what they're doing for consumers. Very few modifications do get approved. It's almost a cruel joke out there. Now,
so people are under the misconception. See, I didn't know that.
Well, I don't want to overstate the issue,
yeah,
but I would say that maybe 1 in 10, 1 in 20 actually get approved.
Really?
Really.
Those are the numbers. Wow.
Those are the numbers. How it is improving, but those are the numbers that we see. I don't have any hard statistics, but I see every day. I see someone come in that they've done everything that the mortgage company asked them to do. They sent in the package, they gave them the reports, they gave them the bank statements, they made the trial payments, they did everything according to the requirements, and then they get the denial letter. That happens time and again. Now, sometimes in foreclosure court, the courts are required in some instances, with exceptions, to refer cases to mediation, which is a court-ordered settlement conference, but there is no requirement that the lender has to modify the mortgage. There's no requirement of that. But there's some pressure. Now, sometimes we can file a Chapter 13 bankruptcy to deal with the other debt while the modification is pending and deal with the mortgage outside the plan. Or the primary reason historically for a Chapter 13, by and large, again, I don't want to overgeneralize, there are a whole lot of details out there, but the primary reason for a Chapter 13 is to reinstate and cure mortgage arrearages. In other words, if someone is in Chapter 13, they can make their regular mortgage payment through the court and spread out the back payments over the life of the plan, which is typically 5 years.
Wow. And I've got to ask you, because what came into my head is, okay, well, I'm obviously having financial problems. I come to you, what are the fees going to look like?
The fees can range greatly depending on the complexity, how much work is going to be involved, whether there are lawsuits pending, whether there are a zillion creditors with $1 zillion, or some folks come to me and they only have 2 or 3 creditors. Some folks come in, they have 2 or 3 creditors, but they may be $50,000 or $100,000. Some folks come in, they have 50 creditors, but they're all small medical bills and things like that. So the fees can range anywhere from, say, the lower range would be about $900. The higher range in a business case, Chapter 7 could be up to $1,500 or $2,000.
But well worth it for peace of mind. So how do we find you, though?
Well, we're located in St. Petersburg at 5150 Central Avenue. Our phone number is 727-322-1999. And that's how you find us.
Obviously, you gave a
We're
lot
also
of
on
great...
the internet.
There you go, if you want to get some information.
Internet, www.reismanlaw.com.
There you go, now you know how to find him. But really a lot of great information, so thank you so much for coming. And if you guys have any questions, now you know where to find them. So thanks again.
And thank you so much.
Coming up, it's not your everyday pharmacy. Next, we'll introduce you to an innovative new product that is making it easier for you to get around. And it may actually be a lifesaver. And the best part, your health insurance may actually cover the entire cost for you.